I believe that gentleman just threw paint on me. This claim of feminism comes by recognizing that women can define their own womanhood. Transgenderism broadly also examines what it means to be a woman, but transgenderism does this specifically from the perspective of men, from biological men with Y chromosomes. It examines it and it defines womanhood from men. This is a fundamental difference. In feminism, women define their own identity as separate from men. In transgenderism, men define womanhood as inclusive of men. And transgender's definition of womanhood can be highly offensive to feminists. You'll notice this, because the transgender definition of womanhood is not womanhood at all, but a caricature of womanhood, a cartoon of womanhood. For instance, those people screaming are being very ladylike, aren't they? Very ladylike. For instance, drag queens are not women. Drag queens are caricatures of women. They present a cartoonish, usually overly sexualized view of women as seen through the eyes of men. Now, some feminists, by the way, agree with me and recognize this threat because feminism relies entirely upon sexual difference. If men and women are not naturally and immutably different, then what precisely is the purpose of feminism? I'll get to intersectionalism in a second, just you wait, my dears. Meghan Murphy, the editor of the magazine The Feminist Current, observed the contradiction. And that woman, the editor of The Feminist Current, made one observation that got her kicked off of Twitter because of the shouting, censorious mob like those people out there. And do you know what she said? She said, men aren't women. And she was kicked off of Twitter for that. A feminist editor of a Canadian journal. And Twitter behaved just like all of these hecklers. Now, if you took a time machine back all the way to the way back, say, about 5 years ago, and you told people that a man would come to a university campus, he would defend the proposition that men are not women, and this would be a hugely controversial event, that person would have laughed in your face. Would have said, Michael, perhaps you would have something else to talk about there. No. But what changed? How did the perfectly obvious statement that men are not women come to be considered hateful? And there are two main culprits to that. The first was mentioned by some person out here earlier, which is the left's embrace of intersectionality. Intersectionality is victim politics on steroids. Victim politics. It posits that layers of oppression combine to form something like a pyramid of victimhood. And where you fall on the victimhood pyramid will dictate your degrees of oppression and privilege. But ironically, in our culture, in our inverted culture, the words oppression and the words privilege now mean the opposite. They've been reversed. So the ability to claim oppression actually carries with it certain social privileges. For instance, if these screaming children in here weren't able to claim some false sense of privilege, they would not only have been ejected from the lecture hall a long time ago, they would have been expelled from the university. They should have been expelled from 10th grade. But because they can claim certain social advantages by ways of a false oppression, they are allowed to sit here and degrade the American university. A privilege, ironically, is a special right, and today, because oppression carries social privileges, a privilege is actually a disadvantage. If you are deemed to have privilege, you are told to shut up, usually by heckling crowds. You are told to check your privilege. You are told that your opinion is invalid. You are told that you do not have the right to speak. You are told that your very identity is wicked, that you are guilty of some great crime. I'll let them exhaust themselves for a second. And so all social pressure incentivizes people to claim oppression and victimhood and to deny their own privileges. This creates ever-multiplying victim groups, false victim groups like these people. This creates ever-multiplying racial victims. I know, you're so oppressed, my dears. I know, life is so hard for you. You have to live in the richest, most equitable, most just country in the history of the world. You have to get a college education. You have to voluntarily go to lectures. It's so awful. I can't imagine that, you know, the people who are in war-torn nations, they must truly They must truly pity you. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye then. I'm not that. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your support, but I'm not that intimidated by these guys. You know, there's a course being taught right now at an American university on angry white men. And when I look at who's angry, I'm not so sure. I know, I seem so hateful. You guys seem lovely and sweet. You guys seem so compassionate and lovely. But you hope that what? Well, it's very difficult to use my platform when people use the heckler's veto to try to shut up any opinion that disagrees. That's what happens when you assault people, by the way, folks. That's what happens.